28th of December 1993. I knew I wasn't welcome at Carol's anymore, so after Christmas and Boxing Day, I borrowed enough money from Carol to buy a one-way ticket to London. I wanted a fresh start. So today Carol saw me off at the station. I think she knows I'm not going to be coming back. I think she knows that this is goodbye. I waved as I jumped onto the train with my bedroll and backpack. The train ride was long and boring, but I had bought a few packets of crisps. After 7.5 hours, I arrived at King's Cross Station. Well rested but cold, I hadn't thought about the fact that it was midwinter and probably the worst timing, but it was my only option. I couldn't have stayed any longer. People recognized me back in Bradford. People knew who I was, and it was terrible. They started off smiling in sympathy and then avoiding eye contact altogether. But I can't say I didn't understand anybody. Nobody wants to be constantly reminded that they're so lucky, well off. They'd much rather spend their days happy than having to worry about wanderers. Anyway, my plan is to stay someplace to rest, and then I'll find a job to earn some money. I'll soon be in my own home, warm and safe. Lake. 28th of December continued. I walked around for hours, freezing, cold. I came across this newsagent's store, and it had this newspaper stall outside. There was a small postcard that was an ad for a week's rent. It said the price was negotiable, but it was spelled negotiable. To be honest, the whole thing looked like a child wrote it, but that was the least of my worries at the time. Like I said, I felt like my fingers and toes were going to fall off, and I was so tired I needed rest. So I arrived at the place after some directions from the newsagent, and apparently the rent was not all that negotiable. 50 quid a week, a fortnight in advance. The owner, who I've named Ratface, but not to his face, which looks like a rat. It was a mistake, though. I know it now. If I'd known there were other options, I would have taken them, but it's too late. I've been kicked out of Ratface's today because I don't pay the rent. And now I'm officially a dosser, along with the kids I saw every day wandering around London, begging for change. I'm one of them now. I thought I've got the hang of it, hang of the streets. I found a nice deep doorway and set out my bedroll and backpack. But then I had to go to the toilet, and I packed up my stuff again to look for a bathroom. I found one too, and once I'd finished, I tried to walk away when this old-looking man, blocked my pathway. He told me I had to pay, but I didn't have anything spare that I could give up. I tried to change his mind. Then he swung a punch at me. I ducked and ran before he could stop me. When I got back to the doorway, there was this huge man set up and everything. I tried to argue and get my space back. He didn't budge. Then he saw my watch, my special watch I got from my mum before events. He asked me for it, and I resisted. But eventually I knew I wasn't going to win, and I passed it over. All the pride of becoming street tough had disappeared. 13th of January. I've been wandering, looking for a doorway, and I thought I found it. I started unrolling my bedroll, and I'd just gotten into it when I heard these footsteps. Slowly I sat up, and the person was just a shadow in front of me. I asked him if this was his place. I started getting up, ready to move, but he told me I was fine and asked me to move over a little. It felt good to be with someone. We talked, and I learned his name, nickname, his Ginger. He was hungry. He said smoking helped. I gave him my Snickers bar to him. He tried to give it back, but I wasn't that hungry. Well, a bit, but it was a little sacrifice for my new friend. I think I fell asleep, because when I opened my eyes, a bright light blinded me. I screwed them tightly shut. My first thought was that Ginger wanted me to leave. I finally opened my eyes after some time and realized it was the officers pushing us out of the doorway. We started walking. Ginger wanted to know if I had any money for food. I told him I had 9 quid, and he showed me to this all-night kebab house. We had some coffee and a bagel. It was really nice to have someone. 14th of January. We walked for miles. It was a freezing cold morning. It was about daylight now, and Ginger started asking other passers-by if we could spare any change. Some people said no, some said yes, and some pretended they hadn't heard him. We walked down Tottenham Court Road, past Piccadilly Circus, when Ginger told me we arrived, but I was quite confused. We stopped at a church. Ginger guided me in. He told me the church was called St. James's. We sat in the warmth. I felt like we were there under false pretenses, though Ginger didn't seem to care. He took out some money out of his pocket and started counting it. He had £1.74, which he said was just enough to get a good cheese roll at the cafe. He didn't lie. The cheese roll was magical. We ate it in the church. It seemed a bit disrespectful. I soon got over it because I was so hungry. I had a friend, a full belly, and a roof over my head. Who could ask for more? Ginger and me travelled around begging. Once Ginger accosted a stiff, military-looking guy. "Change? I'd change you, my lad."